we can use approximations by different analogies that we ourselves kind of are comfortable with. I mean, mafia is not, it's not a useless template because we kind of get what the mafia is about. There are big differences between China's dictatorship and Russia's dictatorship. Not the least of these have to do with with the state power that they possess and with their capabilities for influencing events beyond their borders. I mean, Russia's pretty clearly a state in decline, and the dictator there has been taking increasingly risky moves as a way to compensate against long-term decline. Chinese leadership is pretty confident that they're a state on the rise. They have had an absolutely extraordinary economic transformation over the last 40 years, nothing like that ever before in history, so they can be excused for thinking that, although future prospects may be a little bit different. But the sort of the Petro kleptocracy in the Russian Federation is mainly a sort of a rent-seeking, extractive operation. It's not creating very much. The Chinese economy has created a lot over the last 40 years. And there's certainly immense corruption there. I'm not saying that it's anything that Milton Friedman would be delighted to see these days. He had higher hopes for it, I think, 30 years ago than he'd have today if he were looking at it. China was the original totalitarian state. I mean, the unified Chinese empire under Qin Shi Huangdi was state-of-the-art totalitarianism with 2nd century BC technology. And Chinese tradition has, for thousands of years, been able to marry an absolutist state with a market economy. So this is not a contradiction in the Chinese tradition, the way that market technologies and market systems confronted Soviet communism. So the Chinese Communist Party seems to be re-ideologizing, and this has, of course, come along with the rise of a paramount leader and the shelving, it seems, of collective leadership. But the two dictatorships, I think, are significantly different, even though they may have use for each other, even though they may have signed a sort of a particularly poorly timed league of supervillains packed together in February of 2022. There are, I think, significant differences between the two.